YouTube? This is your boy Alex. I'm in my uncle's room. I thought I'd change up the actual location. Today is, you guessed it, it's Thursday. So I'm gonna do 3 videos of basketball, and then I'm gonna take a break because these are games just to see who makes it to the NBA playoffs. And pretty soon it'll be time for me to make videos about the NBA playoffs. And I gotta save some space because I also have ideas for other videos. Plus, I have to get ready and do another video that's not even related to basketball. Give my personal take on Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. Now, that's a video I'm going to do tomorrow once I do all the research on that to find out who's going to win, Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. But this is not boxing, this is basketball. So there's like at least 4 or 5 basketball games today. But I think 5 games is too many to make into 5 videos. So we're just going to do 3 today. The first one up, because there's already a game being played as we speak. It's going to be the Miami Heat versus the Milwaukee Bucks. This is another competitive basketball game because these are 2 teams in the East. Now, the Bucks have the #1 seed in the East. Miami is in the playoffs. A lot of people are shocked. A lot of people are surprised that they could play the Bucks, they could play the 76ers, they can play the Celtics, they could play the Raptors. Miami is no joke. They're for real. Now they got a strong offense. Their defense is up and down, but they have won games at home and on the road. But this has the implications that if the playoffs was to start right now, and Milwaukee's #1, and if Miami couldn't get out of that 8th spot and they try to get to the 7th or the 6th spot, this is who you would face in the first round if the playoffs was to start right now. This is going to be a competitive basketball game right off the bat. You know, if you see a blowout, then you'd be surprised. I say no blowout, it could be a blowout. The Bucks will win this game 107-104. It's going to turn into a shootout. First 2 quarters, it's going to turn into a 3-point shootout because Miami thinks if they do a shootout, you know what I mean. If they put up 3-point shots and baskets, they actually think they're going to win the basketball game. Bucks can play offense, they can play defense, they can play 4 quarters. If the game goes into overtime, they have no problem handling themselves under pressure. And Miami does collapse. Their defense do collapse because when you take away the backcourt and you force them to do a shoot game and they trade 3-pointers with the Bucks, they don't do very good. You know, when they start playing with Boston, they can do that with Boston and Philly, but when they go up against teams like the Bucks and Toronto Raptors, you got to have some fundamentals with your basketball. You just can't, hit 3-pointers and think that's going to keep you in the game. That might keep you in the game in the first and second quarter, but in the second half, you need to show the fundamentals of the offense and the defense. You got to run in transition. You got to have a contingency plan. You got to have a backup. Sometimes they get into foul trouble, and Jimmy Butler is their best player on the Miami Heat team, but then he sometimes get into foul trouble, and sometimes his production go down because he scores, and then sometimes he makes shots early in the game, and then late in the game when it's time for him to make them shots, they go in and out. So it all depends on what they plan to do against the Bucks because this is the #1 defense team in the East. This team is in the playoffs. This team is going to go far deep in the playoffs. So this is like a playoff implication if they were to face in the playoffs. Don't be surprised these 2 teams face in the first round. Because the Heats are trying to get from #8 to like #7 or jump to the #6 spot. Because if the playoffs was to start right now, this is who you would have to face. If the Heats were to upset, because there could be an upset, if the Heats win the game, it would be 102-100. Still a competitive basketball game.